He called and said he couldn't make the trip because he has so many other trips he has to make to the U.S. He couldn't make the Colorado trip. But I decided to go anyway because it brings me joy. It brought me joy to be around my family and my son. And this is the first Father's Day I've been able to be with him in many years. And that is what we are trying to do, to have more joy, more love, more connection, more relationships in our lives. And so it turns out I didn't have to rationalize it. Just being there and being with my son and his family and having and living a life of joy is all I need to do. So today, I want to talk to you about being connected and included. We are profoundly shaped by our environment, by our social environment. We suffer greatly when our bonds, our relationship, our connections, our social environment is disrupted, when it's ended, when it's threatened or severed. And our well-being and our identity depends on our connections and our relationships. A lot of people ask me, where are you from? Thank you, Terry. Where are you from? That's the thing that you guys do here in Texas. You guys know that? You Texans always do that. Where y'all from? Y'all ain't from around here. I get that a lot. And because my father, was in the military and I traveled a lot, that's a difficult question for me to answer. I flounder on that question all the time because if you ask where I'm from and you ask about the location, well, I was born in Fort Lewis, Washington. But I don't feel a sense of belonging there. I haven't been there in I don't know how long, so that's not where I belong. And my parents came from Texas. You can't hear me? You can't? Okay. Can you? Okay. I'm okay, but you can't hear? Okay, I don't know. Jim can't hear. Can you help with that? Thank you, Joe. And so Waco is a place that I claim as our family home because my mother and my parents are from Texas and we came and went. But here's what y'all say. Y'all say just because of oven, what did y'all say? Just because the ovens here in Waco don't mean the buns are from Texas or whatever. So basically, right? I know it's crazy. You guys, y'all say it. But basically, it's because what it means is just because my parents are from Texas, don't mean I'm a Texan. That's fine. That's fine. But I still feel connected and included. So the question becomes really, how do you feel connected? How do we include other people in our lives? So as we talk about inclusion, this is a month of inclusion. This is what the month of June is. So in a month of inclusion, and it's a month of gay pride and inclusion. So it's inclusion, if you want to give a definition of that, is about us extending this feeling of connection because we value and we treasure diversity and we want to build community. And when you try to create a definition for connection, there is no definition because it's not a concrete situation. It's not bricks and mortar. Connection is a feeling. Connection is an experience that we have, a sense of belonging somewhere. And how do we get to extend that feeling of connection and belonging and that you are okay with me? How do we do that in our lives? Because that's what matters. That's where joy and well-being comes from. Well-being is the experience of health and happiness and prosperity. So what does it take to be connected? We have to develop this sense of belonging. Like we belong somewhere. When we travel, and I told you guys I've had this great conversation with my family, there's 4 siblings, and we all travel with my father. And I always tell this story about how, I love traveling. And then I didn't, you guys know me, I didn't just say I love traveling. I included the whole family. Like me and my siblings, we love traveling. And we had a great time and blah, blah, blah. And my little sister, she put her hand up. She literally put her hand up. She goes, I'm going to stop you right there. Because we all did not enjoy traveling. What? I was taken aback. We didn't? We did not enjoy it? No, I couldn't speak for them. And then the other 2 chimed in, no, we did not. So I had to reflect on that. Where you are, it's hard to know what's happening from where you are. It's easier to know what's happening when you look back on what was going on. And you get to dissect it and see what was happening then. So I look back on my life and I think, well, why did I think that we had such a great time. And they did not. I don't know for them specifically, but I know why I thought I had a great time. I know that I did. It's because wherever I am, I feel connected to people. I always have. And what does it take to feel connected? And why is it that my sisters and brothers did not? Well, there's a difference. I always felt like I belonged someplace, and I've shared with you guys this from the pulpit, and probably want to talk to you personally. I'm shocked, just literally shocked, when people don't like me. Really? Huh? Well, you're bad and you're lost. Right? Because I'm fortunate enough to have been raised by parents who loved me deeply. And I think that holds you in good stead. When you know that you are loved from a small child, then no matter what, your self-esteem is high. So mine is high. I'm always shocked when people don't. So I never tried to fit in. I always felt like I belonged. And here's why I belonged. And it's important for my job, actually, now that I'm in this situation. I belong because I actually care about other people. So to fit in means that you change yourself for the group. Like whatever the group is doing. Like if we come in, like if people come in here and they see that we're always hugging and kissing and carrying on, even though they want to do this. If they want to fit in, they try to like the hugging and the kissing. But when you have a sense of belonging, you get to be who you are. You don't have to fit in. We have to accept people for who they are. So when I walk into a group, you guys mentioned it. Several of you mentioned it when I was here talking and I was on a stage, and several people said to me, "Oh my goodness, you seem to know everyone. You're calling people's names, and you're I know, huh? Duh. You're calling people's names and you're asking them about what's going on in their lives because I know you. Because when I get into a conversation with someone, it's about how are you? Hey, how are you doing? Where you from? Got kids?" And I remember because I actually care about you. So it's about deep listening to other people. When I was in Colorado, my grandson's 9 years old, and I had my Nikon. Those of you who are friends with me on Facebook, you may have seen some of the pictures that we took on the trip to the Rockies. And so I had this really long telescopic lens, so I was able to get really close, even though I wasn't very close, and took some really great pictures. So my grandson said, "Oh, Grandma, can I use your Nikon and take some photos? Sure, let me show you how to do it." So I showed him how. He said to me, "Can I take a selfie with this?" Right? Don't you think so? I'm like, "No, grandson. This camera is about other people. Okay? This is about other people." That's what connection is about, right? It's about a sense of extending this connection, saying that you are okay, that other people are okay, just by showing up and being who they are. And we do that by deep listening, by creating friends and allies. We cannot make connection alone. It's an experience, meaning we need to have other people. It's an interactive exchange with others. That's how we stay connected and included. My work, as I said, doing this work, and always it has been, I'm getting ready to start doing some stuff with Joe. We're going to start doing some mentoring with some teens. And part of that is connecting and acting, and not acting out, but actually caring about those kids that I'm going to be working with, what's going on in their lives, and whether I can make a change or not. Just being able to listen and to have my whole heart involved in whatever it is they're sharing with us and with me is how you create connection. That's how we grow. So in my job here as a minister, we have this compassionate care ministry committee, which I'm on. And that means, when someone's hurting someone's lost something, someone's in the hospital, whatever it is, we reach out. Give them a call, go see them, whatever, send them a note, excuse me, whatever it is. That's what the water's for. Thank you. And so, but here's the thing. Sometimes it's hard, right? Sometimes it's hard to connect with certain people. I happen to be, and I talked about this in class this morning, I happen to be solution-oriented. Do you know what that means? It means I don't want to hear you whining. Sorry. I don't. But that's not what happens when you're trying to connect and be inclusive. You have to allow people to be where they are. It would be lovely if everybody worked out their on their own. But they generally don't. They work it out with you, telling you all about it. And that is part of my job. That's part of our job as we connect with other people. Now, what do we get to do, though, and still be who we are? My mother is a person who, and she died in 2011, but to maintain the relationship with her and to keep that connection that I wanted, I had to limit the amount of time that I would spend with her. Why? Because she's a person who devolves into negativity immediately. Whatever is on your mind, whatever you're talking about, there will be a negative aspect. And because, of course, you can do black and white. There's always a negative aspect to something. And that's where she would go. I'm not that person. I always see light and possibilities and opportunities. So, but I also wanted a relationship, right? So I said, okay, Mom, yeah, I got 15 minutes, I got to be at an appointment with, I had one. The appointment was to get out of there. That was right? It doesn't matter what your appointment is, they don't need to know what it is. But I have an appointment, Mom, in 15 minutes, so I'll just spend some time in 15 minutes. Gotta get. So that's what you get to do. You understand? Because if I can't bring my whole self and be wholehearted with her for more than 15 minutes, I don't need to be there for longer than 15 minutes. Do you get what I'm saying? So if you cannot be wholehearted with someone, that's okay. There's no, I'm not saying that you shoulda, coulda, woulda. I'm saying know that and don't be in that person's presence because they can feel that. They know you don't want to be there, so don't do it. Just don't do it. There's someone else that can do it. It's okay. But if you can be there, then be there with your whole heart. Listening, seeing them, being with them. That is what connection is all about. Okay? So, everyone matters. Everyone matters when it comes to connection. It takes courage to live fully and completely connected. 4 things. It takes courage. It takes being wholehearted, meaning holy-hearted, God-centered. It takes being joyful, joy meaning the fullness of God. And we want to do this so that when we get to the end of our lives, here's the reason why we're trying to be connected and create these connections. So when we get to the end of our lives, we're not saying, what if I had? What if I had had the courage to? What if I had said the words? What if I had reached out to my son? What if I had asked my daughter? What if I had said those things to my husband? What if? We don't want to get to the end of our lives doing that. We can, but I think a better life is not to. It's to try as much as we can to get to the end of our lives and not saying that, because we are all seeking joy and happiness. Is this right? Hello? Are we all seeking joy and happiness? Can I get an amen? Amen. Amen. We're all seeking, yes, thank you, joy. Joy, joy, joy. Yes, I just need to get that amen. Yes, I got an amen. Okay, amen. Yes, I'm going to get an amen. Connection is inclusion. It's about encompassing this feeling that we belong, that others belong, that they're okay the moment they step in front of us. When we connect and we choose courage over comfort. Courage over comfort. When we choose to listen to the hard truths. So what are the hard truths? What would that look like? When you are sitting with someone who is dying. I had the fortune of being with my mother before she passed away. And I could sit and talk with her, and she could share with me whatever she wanted to share with me. Her pains, her regrets, her joys. All of that. That's what we get to do. Her disappointments. Possibly her disappointments in me. She didn't share that, but she could have. She could have. That's a hard truth to sit there with a dying spouse. To have a conversation with someone who is angry with you and needs you to take the blame for something, even when you don't think it's your fault. That's a hard conversation, right? It's a hard truth. I was sharing with the class this morning about a truth that I had with my daughter. Asking her, I'm not going to set up the whole thing, but she did. The question I asked her was, or the statement I said to her was, tell me what you think, how do you think I feel about you? Tell me that. How do you think I feel about you? Just keep in mind, this is my firstborn. This is the girl, I called her Michelle Angelique because she was an angel. When they put her in my arms, she was an angel. I've never loved anything greater than my children. And when I asked her, what do you think I think of you? She said, I don't think you love me. I don't think you love me. It brings tears to my eyes just to think about that conversation. It was difficult. This is someone who I love and have always loved, and she did not know it. She didn't know it. So to ask that question, to sit there with a hard truth, her truth, and not say anything. I didn't need to defend what I had done to prove that I loved her. Because that's the automatic thing you want to do, right? What? I've done this, I've done... You know, that's not what the conversation was about. The conversation was about how does she feel? And listen to what she needed to tell me. And then ask her, what do you need from me now? What do you need from me now? Okay? That's a hard conversation. But you're talking about real connection and having the courage to show up and be open, even when you don't know what the outcome is going to be. I would have loved that outcome to be, well, I think you love me. I think you're great. She didn't say that. That's what I would have wanted, but that's not what she said. Okay? That's a hard conversation. I'm just saying. This is what we do. Connection requires vulnerability. You have to have the courage to show up in person in the relationship. And when you hear these words, these are, you guys know what these are. What are the 4 dreaded words in a relationship?
We need to speak.
How long? We need to talk. Oh my God. Because what's the story that's going on in your head? The moment they say that, oh my God, I didn't do it. That's not what I. What? You're already thinking of reasons and excuses for whatever it is. You don't even know what they want to talk about. But that's scary. When Jason and I had the conversation, I asked him, I said, you know a relationship, right? You know when something's wrong. So I asked him, how are we doing? Let's ask the question. Now here's what I would have wanted to hear. We're doing great. Now I'm working on some things. I'm in counseling for me because I need, I have the whole Vietnam experience, whatever. And so I'm working on some PTSD, and I was talking about you and me. We're good. No, that's not what he said. He said, I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Yikes. Tell me more. Tell me more. And that began this other conversation. I know this is a hard talk that I'm talking this morning. I know that. But this is what life is. Life, real relationships, real connections, has hard conversations. And it tells the truth if you can. Sometimes you're not ready, and I get that. It's okay if you're not ready. But it takes courage to show up and have real conversations with the people you love and have real relationships. Okay, it takes vulnerability. Okay? So, inclusion is all of us extending this feeling of connection to anyone who walks through the door, to the people that you love, because we're all about having joy and happiness, prosperity, joy, happiness, and prosperity. It all comes with connection to the people we love, to the people that matter. Is this hard work? I'm not going to do this hard work for just any old body. Right? Because it's hard work. You got to deserve me showing up and doing this hard work. But if I want this great relationship with my sister, my children, my husband, then this is how I have to show up. Vulnerable, open-hearted, big-hearted, God-centered. Let go of what I would like the conversation to be, and let the conversation be what it's going to be, so I can hear what needs to be done. Right? Can I get an amen? Amen. Hallelujah! All right, yes!
Can I throw my shoe now?
That was going to be so true. So, I'm asking you, and I'm saying right now, the greatest joy that we can have comes through connection with others. It does. And we have to be vulnerable. We have to be involved in relationships. And when we connect, when we choose to experience joy, connection, and great relationships by being vulnerable, by choosing to be courageous over comfort, by showing up wholehearted, God-centered, we show up and we experience holy joy, a holy, joyous life. And we don't come to the end of our life saying, if only I had.